Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
All right. So, would you say that relationships fall apart instantaneously? Or do you think relationships fall apart because of a bunch of things that happen over a long period of time?
So I think that it's just like my car.
Okay.
Right.
Relationships are like a car.
Yeah. Isn't that great? So, you get frustrated with your car.
Okay.
Right. And so just like you get frustrated with a relationship sometimes. But you tend to need to maintain your car.
Okay.
And if you're not maintaining your car, then small problems show up. And sometimes you fix or maybe Band-Aid a little bit of the small problems, put that piece of tape over your check engine light or whatever. And then, you ignore a few things. You say, I'll take care of it later. And then, a few of those small problems build up into bigger ones. And before you know it, your relationship, your car careens off the edge of the road and smashes into a tree because you didn't take care of it.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the analogy that I think of when I think of like what happens in a relationship. It's very rare that you buy a car, you start a new relationship, and the transmission goes dead immediately.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So over time, you've failed to change the oil. You failed to take care of that car in its proper way, and so you didn't maintain it well, and it just becomes, all those little issues become massive, one big massive issue at some point. And I think that's what happens in relationships, that from my perspective.
Okay. Well, actually, I think that's actually pretty good. I like that because you're right. Relationships are always fun, new, and exciting in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots, whether it's I just started, a few months ago, my new job as a counselor in a new company. Sure. My brother-in-law just started a new job. And so new jobs, new relationships are filled with excitement and possibilities and, kind of that honeymoon period.
Right.
And so you're right, though. It does require, I will agree with you, it requires work and maintenance to keep things working as smoothly as they can.
Yeah.
Because relationships, again, work or, family, whatever. I like the phrase death of 1,000 cuts because it's not something that, a major thing. Ooh,
Yeah.
A lot of times it's something that happened. I mean, okay, yeah. You can have infidelity in a relationship.
That's usually a major thing, though, right?
It is a major thing, but did it happen 1 week after you were starting that new relationship, or did it happen months or years later?
Right.
And if it happened months or years later, well, okay, why did that person go looking for love in somebody else's arms rather than yours? Is it because of this or something that or some other issue? And so I got me thinking, and so I looked into things that we might be able to do to, there's a term that is gaining a lot of traction. It's called microaggressions.
Yes.
And microaggressions are little things that we can say or do that can have big, unintended, potentially negative consequences. In fact, I'm going to go out there and say get my tongue unraveled from my teeth here.
Mm-hmm.
Unintended, yes. Negative, most likely.
Sure.
Because that's the whole thing of a microaggression. All right. And so I got a few things that I found as microaggressions, little things that you or I can do in a relationship that we don't think much of, but can be received as huge.
Yeah.
So I thought we might explore some of those.
Sure.
All right. And we're going to start with one of my biggest pet peeves. Anybody that knows me knows that I am not a fan of being late.
Okay.
I like being on time. In fact, I am, to you being a big New England Patriots fan, Bill Belichick says to be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is unforgivable.
Yeah.
That is something that I strongly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And here's part of the reason why. It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
If you are on time, you are respecting my time. You're respecting me. If you're going to consistently be late, well, then I don't matter. My time doesn't matter, and you are saying that you are way more important than I am.
Sure.
So we're going to work on your time, not mine.
Right.
So I see that, again, it's subtle,
It is.
be on time. I mean, and by saying something like that, I almost feel like you're dissing my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter. My
Right.
time doesn't matter. And you're minimizing my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my wife might say, well, sometimes, Rod, you talk too much. A minimized voice might be a good thing.
This is why you have a podcast. You can talk all you want for the 30 minutes.
Yes.
And, if people want to tune out, they can.
Well, it's my personal soapbox. But no, and it's very interesting. And so, but I thought that, that's something. How many times do we ignore somebody else's opinion? How many times do we disrespect, their voice by minimizing what they say?
What were you saying?
Exactly my point. Thanks.
See?
But hey, at least you were on time.
Right.
So I
was early. So were you.
Technically, yes.
So, yes.
And so, but that's me. These are little things, and it's for some people it may not be a big deal, but again, it's a microaggression. All right.
Yeah.
Now, my mother listens to our podcast from time to time, and she made an interesting observation. She said, "What I like about what you guys do, you don't interrupt and talk over each other."
Right.
And I thought, wow, I never really considered that. But how many times and I have to remind myself when we're in our, our conversations back when, we were working together at school, we would have our morning meetings, so to speak, where we would laugh and, joke and all that kind of stuff. And there were a lot of times where we would talk over each other.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking over somebody else, are you disrespecting them?
Well, I mean, you're not listening to them.
Yeah.
Right? If you're talking, you can't do two things at once. I know there's lots of people who think you can multitask, but you can't. And there's plenty of evidence on the road for that. I saw some people just come into the studio today that were looking at their phones and drifting on the road. You cannot do both. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect and haven't tried it. Mm-hmm. I have, but it fails.
Yes.
So it's a matter of your brain cannot physically do two things at the same time. So if you are speaking at the same time that somebody else is speaking over each other, neither one of you is listening to the other person. You can't be. You cannot listen to that, perceive it, and process it at the same time that you are processing the speech that you're putting out. And so you're completely disrespecting the other person because you're not listening to them at all.
You're listening to respond versus listening to understand.
I mean, I think if you're talking over the person, all you're doing is responding. Mm-hmm. You haven't even heard what they said. Exactly. You might have picked up on a couple of words here and there when it was in between the things that you were saying, but you really don't know what they said.
You're not trying to.
Yeah.
Again,
you're not trying at all.
It's one of those microaggressions. You're trivializing. Sorry, I can't speak today. You're man, I spell like something.
Try the smaller words.
You are not respecting their feelings.
That was a little bit of a microaggression right there. Just so you know, right?
Right. Well, but you're also dismissing their thoughts.
You are.
And you're sending a message that your opinion doesn't matter. And I think friendships, relationships, we do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very guilty of it. I try and be cognizant of that. I try not to do that.
Right.
And yet we do that. And so if you do that a lot, well, again, you're leading to that death of 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, being aware of those kinds of things, trying to, I don't know, nobody likes to be disrespected.
I think that when you talk about microaggression and you think about relationships, and so if there's partners in a relationship, and you're doing something in the house, maybe in the kitchen, and there's clearly something that the other person did that bothers you, and so you just like sigh. That's really kind of a microaggression, right? Like you're not going to talk about it. You're just going to sigh, and the other person's going to pick that up, and they're going to now have feelings associated with that. So, being careful about how you respond to things or what you say is important. Again, I think we stress this almost all the time, but there's just little things. I try to think of things, if it's, the guy leaves socks on the floor, right? And so we make a statement that's kind of passive aggressive. That's sort of a microaggression, right? You can either make the choice to pick up the socks and deal with it yourself, or you can address it in an adult conversation.
Exactly. And that's,
and that's part of the maintenance that we're talking about, right? Like, I don't just try to, do something with my oil in my car by myself when I don't know how to deal with it.
Thank you. Well, that brings me to something else, and I'm guilty of this, and I've got to do better. But you make a joke at somebody else's expense.
Yeah.
Now, I love Saturday Night Live. I love how they make fun of people. I mean, you can make fun of me, but if it's a regular, consistent thing that you do, it's now moved from humor to hurtful.
Sure.
So I think yes, I have my oddities and my quirkiness.
Yeah.
And if you want to call me out on it, fine, go ahead. But if that's all you do, or you do it so often and you do it in front of others to get a laugh at my expense,
yeah,
now it's not humor, it's now hurtful.
Right.
And so I think
that's a place where I enjoy the humor, right? I like Saturday Night Live. I like comedians. I really like Nate Bargatze, who does a very clean show.
Okay.
Very family oriented, but a riot, right? So, does he still pick on people? Absolutely, right? He still picks on people, situations, stuff, but nobody's specific.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but if I'm sitting there listening to it and then I'm like, telling my wife, like, that's totally you.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm like pointing fingers. Oh, that's right. So, and she may not see it that way.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use it to get at somebody else for something, that's kind of the wrong thing to do.
Well, and sometimes depending on the intent.
Yeah.
Because when you make those subtle jabs or jokes, what are we actually doing?
Well,
because
it never works for me.
Well, no. In fact, a lot of times, and Sherry will tell you this all the time, that my attempts at sarcasm actually come across as being mean rather than comical. We have a former coworker, we'll call him JK, who is amazing at sarcasm.
Yeah.
And his sarcasm is indeed very funny. But my sarcasm, what are we actually doing? Well, are we addressing an insecurity that I have? And so now we're trying to make ourselves feel better by making somebody else feel worse.
And again, it becomes, who is it? If you're directing sarcasm at a person rather than at a action or a group or something that's more general, then that can become very hurtful.
And I think that's kind of what they're maybe trying to say.
Yeah.
Another thing that I know that can be a huge deal is, and we do it again, it's a very easy to do, very passive aggressive, but dismissing somebody's feelings or emotions. You are overreacting again. Or you are making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not that serious.
Right.
Well, now you're telling me that my thoughts, my feelings are not important. They're not valid.
Right.
And you're dissing me. You're disrespecting me.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's how you feel, is there a better way you can say, well, okay, why do you feel this way? Are you sure? Explain to me, how is this not an example of overreaction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can ask it, you can have them address it, but it's how you do it. It's not just what you say, but how you say it that can be all the difference.
Right. And for my own children, right. And even in other conversations, when I have people who talk to me and I'll say something and they say, whatever, I hate that.
Yeah.
That whatever is very dismissive. And I even told my own kids that, what that actually means is a 7-letter phrase that starts with F
and ends in
and
you.
ends in you, and is not. That's what they mean when people say that. And so if that's what you want to say, fine, say it. Right, tell me, and we'll have a conversation. But if that's and I'm not saying I haven't said it. At times, right? I'm not perfect on these things, but you get frustrated, and sometimes you say that, whatever, and it's just very dismissive of the other person and what they're thinking, what they're trying to convey, and it tells them, it doesn't matter to me.
When you're downplaying somebody's thoughts or feelings or emotions, you're actually creating a barrier, a wall, and between you and that other person, well, if you keep doing that, you keep disrespecting me, how much does that have to happen before the resentment becomes too big?
Yeah.
And when you do, if you can just simply acknowledge them and give them an opportunity to explain, well, now they feel validated, and you're showing respect to that person.
Right.
Rather than the disrespect.
Absolutely.
Now, we were, this summer, we went to Florida and we got to see family and friends, and it was really exciting. And I am not one who I don't like to brag.
Right.
And I don't like necessarily to talk about myself.
Right.
And I'll talk about others, and I will encourage accolades. Well, we were visiting, with one of my very dearest and oldest friends, and she was saying, well, tell him about, the awards you got at the end of the school year. Right. And I'm going, oh, okay. And I had no problem sharing that, but it worked. It sounded, I don't like to say, hey, let me tell you about what I got. Let me tell you about this award that I got, or this honor I received. And it's kind of like, it's nice when you can have others respect your successes. When you don't, oh yeah, they got that little thing at work. Yeah. Oh yeah, they got that little thing from, no, but it wasn't that big a deal. Oh yeah. You're excited about it, but your partner just totally blows it off or doesn't want to talk about it or all of that. Well, if you don't acknowledge your partner's work, their effort, their successes, what are you saying? Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of an interesting one.
I think it's important, to acknowledge those things. So,
well, something else, and this is one of my sisters, her husband. He did these next two, and it created, I think, the biggest barrier that led to their marriage not being successful. And that was the silent treatment. Whenever something would come up, he would not talk to my sister. He would talk to the kids. He'd talk to everybody else. She could be standing right next to him and she would be totally ignored. Talk past her, talked over her, talk around her, but wouldn't acknowledge her.
I just, this is so childish in my thinking. And this is played out in so many sitcoms, right? I can think of the most recent one my wife and I over the summer kind of rolled through, Big Bang Theory again.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
They have some episodes where they're mad at each other, and so they're not talking to each other, and so like Howard becomes the person who's supposed to like say all the things.
Yes.
Hey, can you mention that this to him? And they're all sitting on the same couch.
Yeah.
And as, Howard gets frustrated and gets up and like leaves and is like, just deal with it yourself. But it's it's so, if you can't even talk to the person, I mean, that just seems very childish to me. I mean, do you need space and time to think about it? Yes, probably just need to like go to your corners and reflect, and then come back later and talk about it. But what is the silent treatment? I mean, and I feel like there's some relationships where it's like the other person might love the silent treatment.
Well, yes,
So,
yes.
you're not actually punishing them necessarily. So it depends on, what the dynamics are. But, just that idea that somehow not communicating is going to make things better is silly.
Well, you're not addressing the issue. You're not addressing the problem. You're allowing it to grow and fester and manifest into something totally else.
To me, this is the same as putting that piece of tape over your check engine light. The problem isn't going away. You're just saying, I'm not going to pay attention to it and I'm not going to communicate about it.
Yeah. Like if you ignore it, it'll go away.
Put that tape off and call the mechanic, for crying out loud. Get it fixed. Right? I mean.
Well, like I say, my brother-in-law would do that a lot. He would, like I say, he would talk to the boys, but he wouldn't talk to my sister. And they're all sitting there together in the dining room, or they're in the house or in the kitchen, whatever. But just kind of like, you're right. I saw that as being very immature.
And I see that. So if you're doing that in front of kids, I think that's a bigger issue, right? I think because you're modeling it.
Yes.
My wife and I would be angry with each other at times, but our kids wouldn't really know it. We had a kind of a minor argument one day, many, probably 14 years into our marriage, and like one of my daughters was like, "Are you getting divorced?" And we're like, "That's silly. Like, this isn't even a big deal, right? We're just having this minor disagreement." And she thought we were getting divorced. Why? Because everybody around them was getting divorced. And so, but that doesn't mean that we weren't ever mad at each other. We just didn't display it.
Yes.
Right. So like, are you displaying the issue in front? And if you're doing the silent treatment, you're acting this passive aggressive argument out in front of everybody. They're all seeing it. Everybody knows it's happening, and they're probably thinking this is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so, you can still act civil and be angry and then deal with it later. Right.
And that's kind of the thing. And, tied with that is withholding affection, especially if you're using it as a form of punishment.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to immaturity, but it's again, you're not addressing an issue. But when you won't hold hands, no, I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm pissed at you. Or, a kiss hello, a kiss goodbye.
Well, I think what you're really saying there is that our relationship is conditional.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? That the love and my affection for you is conditional. You will behave the way that I want you to, or I'm going to withhold from you communication, physical touch, words of affirmation, whatever it may be.
Sure.
Right? Those 5 love languages kind of things. I'm going to withhold the thing that's most important to you. That's a conditional relationship, not an unconditional one.
And again, these are the things that can lead to the destruction of a relationship, which is, you never get into a relationship with the end in mind. All right. You go into it, well, this is what's going to last forever. It's going to be, I'm going to work at this place until I'm ready to retire.
That's one of the reasons that my wife and I, when we got married so young, and we didn't have anything to speak of, so it wouldn't have mattered. But people always getting married are talking about like, getting those premarital agreements. I forget.
Prenuptials.
Prenuptial agreements, right? And we didn't do that, and we said that we wouldn't. But our commitment to each other, even at a young age, was we just weren't going to talk about divorce. It would never be an option. And I think that we've held to that. We've never really mentioned it. We've never used it as a threat. We've never done any of that. And we've always worked things out. So, I think that knowing that there was an unconditional nature to our relationship, really helped keep us focused and making sure that things were resolved.
And I think that is so important. Again, all my work with divorced families over the years, a lot of times that, affection or a lack thereof was a key component to their destruction. Now, a lot of these things that we've talked about have been a factor in leading to the demise of a relationship, especially a marriage, but in particular, the silent treatment, the withholding affection as punishment, just, I don't know. I never really understood it. I mean, at the end of the day, you should have a lot of respect. Show respect and love that you have with your partner to each other. Yeah. I mean, you can't fix a problem if you don't know what the problem is, or you don't at least attempt to address it.
I think generally everybody is seeking, whether you're in a relationship or you're seeking relationship or you maybe think you don't need a relationship, you are seeking unconditional love from somebody, somewhere, whether it's your parents, whether it's a spouse or a partner or, whatever it might be. You are seeking that unconditional love, and that unconditional love, if you don't reach it, you will seek it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that becomes the issue, right? So, the broken car is seeking somebody to help to fix it. Right?
I'm telling you.
And if it can't be fixed, it will careen, it will crash, it will be, and then, you're off to look for a new car. And so you may be finding yourself looking at a new relationship because you can't maintain the one that you have because its foundation is off.
And that's, again, I totally agree with you. There needs to be, again, that respect, and with that respect comes love.
Yeah.
Again, even at work, show me that you respect me. Show me that, that you value me, that what I bring to the table is valuable. I don't have to be the most valuable component, but I want to know that you respect me and that you value me.
And I also think that, and this may be hard to hear, but I also think that there's times where it's like, you know what? We're not right for each other.
True.
This job isn't right for me. This thing isn't right for me. And so I don't value it the way that we're looking for, that you're looking for. And so we do need to end this.
Yes.
And move on. And the earlier that you decide that, the better off you are, because, it doesn't waste everybody's time.
Exactly. I mean, relationships are unique and they need to be valued for what they are. And you fix what you can fix, but be, I guess, grown up about it.
Yeah.
Be grown up. If you don't like what I'm doing, tell me. If this isn't a relationship that's going to work, if you know what, if you don't think you can learn to love me, if you don't think that you can learn to work with me, or I can't learn to work with you, then be grown up enough to say, adult enough to say, if we can't fix this, so let's move on.
Got to be open to hard conversations, no silent treatment. You got to be able to recognize your part in the relationship and where your faults might be, and correct those. And really, that's all you can do. Right?
Yes.
You can't correct the other person. You can correct you. And the more you do that, the better the relationship probably gets. And if it doesn't, well, then you have a different issue. But
just show up.
All you can do is handle you.
Yes.
Right. And so handle you and change you, and it's likely that things will get better.
So anyway, that I like this. I enjoyed doing some of the work on looking this up. So hopefully we can make sure that our relationships last a little longer and are a lot more healthy.
Sounds great.
So until next time, I'm Ron.
I'm Scott.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.